Good evening, everyone. He had only months to live, sentenced to be executed on Tennessee's death row in less than 8 months. But now, a convicted killer's death sentence is set to be thrown out, replaced with life in prison, and it's over racial discrimination concerns. We have team coverage of these major developments tonight concerning death row inmate Abu-Ali Abdur'Rahman. Chief investigative reporter Phil Williams will take us inside the problems with the case, but we begin with News Channel 5's Jason Lamb, who's in our 5 Alert Center tonight. Jason?
Well, Judge Monty Watkins still needs to sign off on this deal, but this was major news coming from his courtroom today. We're told he'll have the decision by late tomorrow morning. This was an agreement between prosecutors and attorneys for Abdur'Rahman that was announced today. Attorneys for Abdur'Rahman says the prosecutor in his original trial, John Zimmerman, discriminated against African-American potential jurors during jury selection back in 1987 by keeping them off the jury because of what his attorneys said were racist motivations. Funk himself was critical of Zimmerman as a prosecutor, something he outlined in a 2015 letter after Zimmerman spoke to an audience of Tennessee prosecutors about a case with all Hispanic defendants. Funk says Zimmerman stated he wanted an African-American jury because, quote, all blacks hate Mexicans. Prosecutors gave Abdur'Rahman the life sentence in exchange for him dropping his motion, asking for an entirely new trial.
In summary, Mr. Rahman is agreeing to a sentence which will keep him in prison until he dies. He is agreeing to waive any other claims and not file any other petitions. This is the appropriate result.
News Channel 5 Chief Investigative Reporter Phil Williams joins us now. And Phil, you first started raising questions about Rahman's case more than 18 years ago.
That's right, Jason. And it wasn't just questions about the jury selection. There were also questions about why the jury was never told about suspicious blood evidence or about the convicted killer's long history of mental illness.
Most of my life, I can truthfully say that I've never belonged to anything.
This was Abu-Ali Abdur'Rahman back in 2001.
And the name, in essence, means servant of God.
He was convicted more than 3 decades ago for a brutal home invasion that left 1 man dead. The victim, Patrick Daniels, a small-time Nashville drug dealer. As these crime scene photos show, Daniels had been bound with duct tape and repeatedly stabbed in the chest as blood splattered across the room. The 2 intruders, DeVal Miller and Abdur'Rahman, then known as James Jones.
My fight has never been that I don't deserve to be incarcerated, because I'm not saying I wasn't involved in a particular incident.
Abdur'Rahman claimed he and DeVal Miller went inside Patrick Daniels' home on a vigilante mission to frighten him into stopping his drug dealing. Then, with Daniels tied up, his eyes taped shut, one of the men repeatedly stabbed him in the back. The convicted killer said he blacked out.
My co-defendant said I was the assailant.
But you did not remember?
I did not remember.
It's a mental illness that, according to experts, was triggered by horrific child abuse suffered at the hands of his father.
My father used to put me in a closet hog time and just leave me in there in the dark. And because of the pain that I was enduring at that time, I used to pretend that I was someplace else.
He would be in the woods with his animal friends, in his own mind, while he was in that intolerable space in the closet.
Noted forensic psychiatrist Dr. Robert Sadoff evaluated Abdur'Rahman, even placing him under hypnosis to test whether his lack of memory was real.
On the right-hand side.
Sadoff says those childhood incidents triggered a mental illness known as a dissociative disorder.
I was wondering if I was the assailant, because everybody was claiming that I was the assailant.
In fact, police recovered the coat Abdur'Rahman had worn during the home invasion, but there wasn't even the tiniest speck of blood on it.
Whoever was the assailant would have been covered with blood.
Abdur'Rahman's appellate lawyers noted that after DeVal Miller was captured and agreed to finger his friend in exchange for leniency, investigators never tested Miller's own coat for blood stains. The state's key witness got a deal that let him walk out of prison after just 6 years.
It was a knife.
Yet years later, under hypnosis,
he blamed it on me.
Abdur'Rahman seemed to see his co-defendant doing the stabbing.
What was he doing with that knife?
He killed Patrick.
He killed Patrick?
Under hypnosis, he absolutely does believe it could.
Dr. Sadoff admitted he could not be sure what really happened.
Does it mean that he actually observed this happening and it's really true and factual? I can't say that.
Still, Abdur'Rahman always insisted he was at peace with however his story ended.
That's in God's hands.
Now, along the way, there were quite a few federal judges and state judges who raised questions about Abdur'Rahman's case, not only about questions about the prosecution, but questions about the work of the original defense attorney. Now, until General Funk had agreed to relook at the case to take a new look, the appeals court had always sided with letting Abdur'Rahman be executed. In the newsroom, Phil Williams, News Channel 5 investigates.